So today we're going to be doing some katana fencing with these synthetic katanas. We both are mostly Western swordsmanship practitioners, but I kind of have this theory that I think a lot of people share, which is this is very like a lot of what we do. It's very similar to a long sword, except it is more focused on the cut, a little bit shorter, and only has one side. A Kriegmesser would be another thing this is kind of similar to. So we're going to see.
I'm trying to think if there were like some Swiss swords that had long grips and curved blades.
I don't know. Possibly.
They might have been longer though.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But we're going to go ahead and using the framework of what we know, do some fighting with this. And I just kind of want to do it as an exploration exercise. I've taken a very little amount of Eastern swordsmanship. I have taken some, but not much. And I think you've taken just a little bit too.
Barely. I tried for like a couple of hours the Korean version of Kendo.
Oh, Kundo, I think?
Yeah, very briefly. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that far. No, I mean, I know it's not exactly
different,
the same thing.
So what we're going to do is we are using the framework of our experience to test this out, knowing that this is synthetic and we're not actually cutting, but this is it is a little lighter than katana. I will tell you that much right now. These are considerably lighter.
It's not like freakishly light.
And the point of balance is a little bit further back than a normal katana. I think the katana's point of balance would be right about here.
I'm actually convinced that that's why these have long grips on them.
Because of the point of balance,
is kind of forward,
yeah, and
that's you need to stop it.
Yeah. So we're going to use these. These are Purple Heart synthetic katanas.
The pommels, though, I like these.
Yeah, I know.
These are like a katana pommel.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I mean, there's some good detail in this. I think that
very nice.
This is very nice.
The wrap is really good.
I think these were around 100. So just kind of a test to see how this feels compared to longsword fighting. Try to other two-handed sword experience.
I might do it from a more withdrawn position. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, damn. There's just no guard there.
No.
Yeah. I got your hand, yeah.
Like getting hit in the hands a lot.
Yeah, hand thing. This is a lot like lightsaber fighting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Mine wouldn't have done a whole lot. I kind of placed that cut and might have stopped you. Did you feel a lot of pressure?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Did that head hit get you?
Maybe. Yeah, it did, but I don't know.
So a lot of people are going to tell us that we shouldn't parry with the blade on this. I have theories on that.
What should we do? Would they say?
A lot of people say that katanas, if you cut at me, they would use the false edge. My thing on that is this is still going to damage that blade. The false edge of this is still going to do damage to the sharp.
Well, but not yours.
Not mine, but I'm going to cut you and you're going to do it. Right? We're both going to get damaged. So my whole thing on this, the flat versus I have more mechanical advantage here. I would rather just take a hit and get a chink in it and be able to kill him than try and spare my sword and possibly get hit myself. And I think that bears out in...
Well, the thing is, if we decided to study how to fight with these, we would basically have to do Kenjutsu.
Yeah.
And they don't spar.
Yeah, that is one of the things that's hard about this. It is that they're...
As far as I know, they don't spar.
It's really difficult when you're looking at the Eastern martial arts with this weapon. There aren't many that actually fight other than Kendo, and Kendo is using the Shinai, the rattan stick, and it's a sport. I mean, with modified rules, which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but actually, Kenjutsu doesn't gear up and fight, as far as I know.
I'm just trying to use what I know about distance and timing and stuff to cut you without being hit.
Yeah, I would rather, and this is my thing, with any sword, I would rather this get damaged than me get damaged.
So a katana has a point, but if I try for a type of thrust I'm used to doing,
it doesn't work.
It would work,
not as well.
But the actual tip of this on a real one would be pointing slightly
up.
So which, if I did adjust the angle, I probably could.
Yeah, but that's kind of, is that awkward?
A little bit.
A little bit, not it's going to be harder to do things like deceptions and thrusts, but we can do them. All right, let's try it. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Ready? And I'm much more cut-centric on this than I would be normally. I made that parry too quick.
I think you got my hand when I was coming in. I'm just going to do Dark Souls 3 moves.
Dark Souls 3 moves. You nicked something.
And you got through to the head.
Got through to the head?
Yeah.
That was just a standard lunge and cut.
Yeah. I mean, there might be something to be said for fighting like this, but I don't like having my arms set in the way.
But I did that from here, and I just did.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
I know that in Nintendo they don't really do any passing footwork, I don't think.
No,
I think they're allowed, but it's
mostly advances and retreats.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Enough?
I think so.
Because it wasn't what I was aiming for. I was aiming for this arm, missed, and hit that one.
We are running into a problem where we're used to longer swords.
Yeah.
This is a shorter sword. You did get me, but not heavy.
Well, it was after you hit my arm, and you nailed my forearm.
How hard? Too hard?
Hard enough that I probably would have dropped this.
No, that thrust didn't land.
I don't know how I got
I
out of
didn't
the
have
way.
enough distance. I went for it.
Well, and I kind of went to the side.
Yeah, and I went for it. If I had a long sword, it would have, but the curve, the distance made it so it didn't work.
Now, it's debatable what would happen if we were just wearing normal clothes and I had it like this and it hit you in the throat.
Probably.
It would probably go up into your throat.
Yeah.
But if we were wearing samurai armor and I thrust you here.
Yeah, but that's the same argument if we were in long swords using armor. It wouldn't work either.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I thought our armor was different though.
Yeah,
too.
it
was
still,
wood, right?
It was protected.
Yeah, I'm sure it was good.
I think it was more focused on protecting the cuts than thrusts. But.
This is starting to feel like Sport Saber.
A little bit.
Because we're just kind of deciding what to do and doing it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. It's fun.
It's fun.
It feels kind of like rock, paper, scissors though.
All hand cuts.
Yeah.
It's just a game. There's no guard here.
Well, and if I had known you were going to go for my hand way back here, I might have been able to lower the sword.
Well, I made a feint. I made a feint back cut on purpose. I don't know with the fully weighted katana if I can do that quick though.
Probably not that
Probably
quick.
would have been a little bit slower. I'll say that much.
But it does have a long grip.
Yeah.
Gives you a little bit more control, but it still is just more mass.
It's more forward heavy. It's more forward heavy, and there's nothing to balance it on this side. There's no pummel. There's no cross guard. So all the weight's in the blade, and it's all forward.
And the grips are pretty light too.
Yeah. That was my hand.
Okay.
I went to parry and it slid right through. You nicked and pulled back.
Yeah, that was meant to be just sort of a probing move.
Yeah.
I didn't really put any
I don't know how
force
much
into
you've
it.
done.
I was trying to draw a reaction from you and then parry it.
Good parry. Did it get you?
Yeah.
I
It
felt
was
like
a
you
thrust
did.
in my stomach.
I didn't feel like you caught much, did it?
It was a thrust.
I don't know, because it was backhand only.
True.
So
Okay, maybe not.
it might have. I didn't feel.
I'm just used to acknowledging thrusts.
I just felt it slide right off. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't feel like bite.
Well, that's because it's slippery.
Yeah. Cool. That was cool. Did I hit your hand? Would it have stopped it?
Something touched my hand.
I did.
Was it me touching my hand onto your sword?
I
or you
cut
touching
your
it?
hand. I don't know if
It would have caught my thumb.
Would it have stopped you?
Probably not.
Okay, then you
If
got
it
my
was
arm.
just my thumb. I mean, think about it.
You got my arm pretty well.
Yeah.
You got my arm pretty well.
pretty sure it might have cut your hands, but I wasn't really making a genuine effort to hit your hands. I was just kind of trying to get you to do things.
I know we're going to get flack for blocking with the edge, but it just makes sense.
Now, what would really happen is we would go like this, both of us, strike together and go.
No, I know that people are going to give us flack for parrying with the edge, but it just makes sense.
I mean,
Trying to turn this over and block those moves with the flat would be a lot more difficult, even if I trained at it. It is an awkward movement of the hand. And
well, they're saying, okay, so are people telling you, like, if you're fencing something like this or this or this or whatever, that you can transition to a way to parry with your back?
That or the flat or something. Or
I would never parry with the flat.
Or just don't parry. But
I mean, yeah.
I've heard that too, but like I am going to block if you're attacking.
Sure, don't parry, but I mean parry.
I mean,
if you think you're going to get hit, you
the thing I will say about this is it's a lot easier than with longsword to rely on distance. I'm able to use distance a lot easier. That might just because we're both not used to the distance.
Yeah.
So that we're able to get out of the way easier. Couple more.
Okay.
So that time what I did, he came in to attack my sword, I retreated back, I was able to come back and strike him in between his two attacks.
That might be what people mean by don't parry.
Yeah, so I baited an attack on my blade.
But if both people have the philosophy of
don't parry.
Withdrawing and just waiting, I mean, it could be interesting. It could look like a lot of, you know, you step back, and I miss, and then you try, and I do this. Maybe it would look. Maybe
but I know in Ninjutsu they teach stuff like this, the parry. They teach it.
Yeah, they teach it with the edge.
You know
they even have cool stuff like putting your hand on the back to close in.
I think that the people saying don't parry with the edge of the katana are people who.
Okay, so anatomy.
Yeah, we'll talk about this.
This blade, this one even flexes a little bit. This is thinner than this. It's designed to flex this way to not break. Your wrist is really good at doing this. I can't pull it back past about here. So everything about physics says if you want to stop a blow,
you
want to oppose it with the strongest things you have, which is this direction with that part of the sword.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I would do if you were cutting that way. I would have to parry like this.
Well, if you cut it this way, I think a lot of people are saying stuff like they're using, like, I don't know, like they're using diverting. You know what? I'm not an expert on it, so it's not going to come.
Well, but you don't also, it's not, even if that were to work, you wouldn't just blow my sword out of the way. I still hit your arm.
Like, that's the thing. So actually, cut it. He's cutting at my head. I know he's coming there. I'm trying to do this move.
Just a nice step to the head?
Yeah, just a head. Oh, I missed. Okay. No, it's really hard. Other way. No. Come in a side angle.
Okay.
I did catch that one.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
oh, hit the rubber.
Yeah, hit the rubber. I was able to catch that one, but the first three, no. It's a gamble.
Well, and think about what happened if you'd done it the other way.
Cut my head again. Easy. Super easy. Every time, super easy. Go ahead, your turn. Ready?
Okay.
Try to do the other way. The catching.
I will.
No.
I almost can't.
Yeah. Try the other side.
Well, if I hold it like this, then I'm ready.
No, wait. On the other side.
Oh.
Of your body.
Huh?
On the other side of your body. Yeah. Try that. Ready?
Wait, where are you cutting?
Your head. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
That kind of worked.
But I did it too big.
Do it again. Ready?
Yeah. He still got my head.
I still got his head. All right, now he's parrying.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't.
No, it's fine. It's easy. No, that's what
it's easy.
It's so easy.
It's very sturdy. Yeah, sure. Maybe the blades would bite in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Maybe I'd have to have it resharpened, but like
I'd rather do that
I'm
than die.
using this for what I own it for.
Well, and here's the other thing.
I don't know what the philosophy on it would be.
That is the other thing. There's a bit of cultural difference here. So when we look at the katana versus the longsword did have a cultural element, but primarily it was viewed as Not necessarily, it was a status symbol, but it wasn't. It was a tool of war.
It wasn't, it was a symbol of something maybe more general, just wealth.
Yeah, but it wasn't a status of class.
They didn't have like an equivalent of, well, I mean, they had knights, but
they did, but it wasn't.
Bushido and samurai was a very specific.
Yeah,
thing.
Chivalry versus. Yeah. So it did exist.
Chivalry stuff was more
broad,
spread out everywhere.
It kind of was.
It wasn't as codified.
I will say this about European culture: European culture was always under attack from outside influences, which made them have to adapt really quick. The Vikings, they had the Ottomans, they had, you know, everybody was fighting everybody all the time, and so warfare progressed very quickly, which meant that things were discarded very quickly. The range of the longsword's use in battle was from about the 1100s to the mid-1500s, and even by the mid-1500s, it was mostly a dueling weapon, not so much an on-the-field thing.
Sidearm on the field.
Sidearm on the field. But the katana originated in about 1100 as well, but its use went up to 1800 because bullets, they were closed off.
Well, but what I'm also saying is, if you look at World War II, Japanese swords, they're mass-produced. Basically, they're not as good as handmade katanas, but they kept the same style.
Did, because it had a deeper cultural significance than the longsword did. It was part of.
I think those were called.
I don't know enough about that.
Military style.
But I'm just saying that it has this deeper cultural significance, and I think that part of the reason they were able to do that was because Japan was isolated for so long. They were there were outside invaders. I think the Chinese, the Koreans, and the Mongols all invaded, and the U.S. didn't invade so much as just showed up and said, "We're here. You got to do what we say." But yeah.
Well, no, I mean, there was a land war up until, there wasn't.
No, I was talking about in the 1800s.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not gonna know. No, I'm just talking about the 1800s when the U.S. showed up and said, "You're not isolated anymore," and they're like,
Okay.
But what I'm trying to say here is that this was able to be in a spot where there was not an outside competitor to it. It formed its own very systematized, stylized, and artful culture around it, around dueling and around ritual. So it and its combat, as it went further away from the battlefield and more into this religious and cultural item, got further away from like warfare battle and closer to a stylistic honor dueling, which is where I think some of these things come from, as opposed to when it originally. So the katana comes from a side sword because originally samurai were archers. They were horse-mounted archers. Very much in the style of the Mongols, there was a lot of cross-cultural stuff there. So they had this shorter side sword that then developed into the katana. Originally, archery was their main thing, and then this started to become a weapon that was used more often.
You wear it differently too.
And you wear it differently too.
Not horseback, it's down.
And so it's and from there, like I said, the longsword, on the other hand, it didn't turn into that symbol. It essentially got discarded in the 1500s because it was no longer useful to the Europeans. They went on to the rapier, and from there they went to the small sword, and the rapier was discarded.
Later they went to gigantic swords.
Yes, they did.
Why not?
Why not? So the European culture discarded their stuff when it was no longer useful and went to the next thing, whereas the Japanese culture held on to it and made it into an art form. And neither one of those things is wrong, but I think some of the stuff we talk about when we talk about katana combat comes from an era when they're saying don't parry. If you were in a situation where someone was attacking you, absolutely parry with the blade.
Well, I wonder if it was some kind of like ideal to aspire to. That you're good enough at moving and fast enough that the person misses you and you
possibly. And a little bit of this is conjecture,
maybe.
Yeah. Well, we can admit some of this is conjecture, but based on our years of martial arts practice and work with blades, we can say that this is safer. This parry is much more reliable than trying to use the flat or something like that. But other than that, if you take out that expectation of not parrying with the edge, this functions very similar to the longsword, and the longsword functions very similar to this. This does not thrust as well, and it is shorter. The cut's great. Cut feels fluid, cut feels fine. A lot of the attacks are in the hand, just like they are with the longsword. A little less hand protection on this, but a lot less hand protection.
But I'm not so sure this was ever intended to be hand protection. It kind of serves as it, but it also could be. I know we said we don't thrust with them a lot, but if you were going to thrust with a bladed weapon, you need something.
You need something to stop your hand so it doesn't go on the blade. Yeah. So that is 2 mostly European-style martial artists' experience and experimentation with some katana, synthetic katana swordsmanship. We'll be doing this again. Maybe we can get someone in here who knows a little bit more about this than us to have some fun with. But yeah, this is really fun. I like these. Again, these are Purple Heart synthetic katanas. This is a lot of fun. This is a fun little experiment. Yeah. If you enjoyed this and our other content, please consider supporting us on Patreon and YouTube memberships. Your support allows us to continue making high-quality content. Also, please check out our sponsors in the links in the description. You can find discount codes for amazing products and help the channel continue to grow and make even better content. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you next time.